Seattle as we welcome you to NFL Live. That is exactly where we want to start because Lindsey Thiry is on site in Seattle for us. Lindsey, all eyes on Davante Adams and that hamstring injury. What's the latest?
Graz, Davante Adams is officially doubtful for tonight's game with that hamstring issue. Sean McVay, though, saying earlier this week they're going to take it right up until game time. One person I spoke with, though, really laid it all out. The Rams want to win the division. They want to earn that top seed in the NFC. Obviously, Davante Adams would be able to help them do that. That being said, they also really want Davante Adams to be healthy for a deep playoff run. So those are some of the decisions some of the factors going into the decision. Also, tonight, they have to factor in the field here at Lumen Field because it has been a steady rain all morning. It is expected to continue up until kickoff, perhaps through kickoff, and that weather really could be a factor, not only in that, but in the Rams' game plan as well as the Seahawks. I asked Matthew Stafford how the rain can affect him, and he goes, well, how granular do you want me to get? Bottom line, it causes the ball to be slippery. It causes the field to be slippery. It could really affect whether they're throwing the ball or running it, and it's really the same thing for the Seahawks. Sam Darnold, along with the Rams, both of those teams talking about how they didn't get outside this week because of the short week, only walkthroughs. So for the Seahawks, they're also talking about how the weather could affect them. Mike McDonald, though, really harping on the wind because on top of the rain, gusting winds up to 33 miles per hour could really affect how both teams call this game. Graz?
That sounds fantastic, Lindsey, and you didn't even notice you were about to get run over by a forklift. The entire desk was very, very concerned about you.
I knew they were back there. I just powered through.
Keep it locked on ESPN throughout the day. Lindsey will have the latest on Davante Adams and everything else with that game. Rain, not a big deal for Sam Darnold. He's 3-0 when it's raining at kickoff. And this year he started out pretty strong, but things took a turn for the worse in that first matchup against the Rams back in Week 11 when he threw 4 interceptions. Darnold throwing only about his third as many touchdowns per interception since then, and his QBR is down into the 30s. So, here with Dan Orlovsky and Peter Schrager and Jason McCourty on NFL Live. I'm Dan Graziano in for Laura Rutledge. Dan, what is going on with Sam Darnold?
Yeah, the main thing is Sam's not listening to his feet. That was something that he really mastered. His feet would tell him where and when to throw the football. And for everyone tonight, just pay attention to when he moves his feet, does he move his head as well? So, number one, empty, motion over, here comes pressure. The Rams are going to bring this blitz tonight. The offensive linemen are going towards the bottom of the screen. They've got one more. Sam's set up to throw the ball outside, but for some reason he doesn't. He gets stuck on that inside receiver. Just throw the ball to the flat. Now it ends up being a 9-yard gain that you're not going to survive against this defense that way. Second thing, this is what I'm talking about paying attention to tonight, these snug sets. He is going to set to the bottom of the screen, all right? He wants to go 1-2. 1 and 2 are not open. So as Sam works to the top of your screen, his feet are moving to the receiver, but his head isn't. And that's why his feet are all over the place. That's late. That's why that ball is bang, bang, almost an interception. Motion across. This is 3rd and 4. The Rams will, at one point tonight, all-out pressure him. But he's so concerned right now with trying to be perfect almost that he's throwing to guys that are covered. Take the deep shot there. And so I think that's something directly to pay attention to tonight is when you're seeing Sam Darnold in the pocket and you watch him move, is he moving to the next option or is he moving and still hanging on that initial option? If he is, that's trouble for Seattle.
I love that you talked about him hanging on that initial option because you watch Sam Darnold now last year going against this Rams defense with Shula calling as their defensive coordinator, and he gives them issues of taking away the throws that Darnold wants to throw. He likes to throw in between those numbers. So taking away the middle of the field, this was in their first matchup. We're coming from the other side of the field where he doesn't see this safety, but dropping the middle, taking this throw away, and having vision on the quarterback. That has been the main thing. Guys reading the quarterback. You go back to a year ago in the wild card division, the safety curl. He drops down, vision on Darnold. He sees the first over route coming, goes to jump that, continues to keep vision as he goes, like Dan said, with his feet to that next option, able to speed turn and get within that window. Shula uses so many different ways to protect the middle of the field. In cover 2, he has the middle linebacker running down the middle of the field. He's dropping behind the safety in cover 4 or in a run robber, getting all the way into it. But all of those different defenses they run, you're seeing people in the middle of the field on defense reading the eyes of Sam Darnold.
Before you jump in, I was just thinking about watching those 2 tapes. It felt like every leverage was outside.
Outside, yes. Yes.
Funneling those guys into the middle of the
where
field,
you have your help.
but also your help.
Yes.
Dan, I think you'd appreciate this. You know, we go into these games and it's like we talk about narratives. And are these narratives real or are they not real? With Sam Darnold, it's can he win the big one? And until you actually win a big one, it will cast a shadow over you the entire time you're going into the week of a big game. I look at Tua, can't win in cold weather. Well, he lost again in cold weather. Guess what? The next time Tua plays in cold weather, we're going to talk about whether Tua can win in cold weather.
Yeah.
I go back to a quarterback, 2020, whose entire career was marked by could he win the big game? Kirk Cousins.
Sure.
Kirk Cousins goes into New Orleans for a wild card round playoff game after not winning any primetime games his entire career. And all we heard about the week leading up was Cousins can't win the big one, can't win. He beat the Saints in New Orleans. And then from that point over, there really wasn't any fangs to that talking point. We don't do it anymore. So is this a playoff game? No. But it's a huge game for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
You know what? Put an end to the narrative. Don't have to win the game. Don't have to throw for 400 yards. Play decently. The last 2 times he has played the Rams was earlier in the season where he threw 4 picks and last year in that playoff game where he was sacked 9 times and was awful. Play decent tonight. I don't want to hear about the weather. Sam Darnold, shut up the narrative.
The last 2 times he's played the Rams, his QBR versus a 4-man rush is 1.
Unbelievable. I was at that game in New Orleans. Kirk Cousins was pretty fired up afterwards to talk about how he was beating the allegations. We'll see if Sam Darnold can start doing that tonight. Want to bring in our Adam Schefter now. Adam, Puka Nacua, the other Rams star wide receiver, besides Davante Adams, has been making news this week for non-football reasons. What can you tell us about that?
Well, he's had quite a week. He issued an apology this afternoon, Dan, in which basically he celebrated a touchdown dance on a stream this week and performed an anti-Semitic dance. Now, he had to apologize, did that, said he didn't realize what he was doing, that there's no place for this in sports. The NFL came out to condemn it on the same live stream. He came out and criticized officials and said they make calls just to be on television. And so all that is going on with Puka Nacua this week at a time where the Rams are getting ready for their biggest game of the season, a game that has ramifications for who wins the NFC West and gets the top seed in the NFC. And here is Puka Nacua mired in controversy, apologizing hours before they play that game tonight for appearing on a live stream in a week like this. Not exactly the way you want to go into a big game, but that's where Puka is. As one person said to me today, Puka is so naive about these things, and his naivete is one of the reasons that people love him so much, because he's so oblivious and so happy, but he's also unaware sometimes of the things that he's doing.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that affects anything going forward tonight. Obviously, a lot going on with the Rams this week on and off the football field. Lamar Jackson again yesterday. What's the latest there?
Back at practice today, Dan, was battling the flu and was back at practice as he's been in other weeks. This has fit the Lamar Jackson pattern that's gone on for the last month plus, where he doesn't practice Wednesday, then does come back to practice on Thursday and plays on Sunday. That seems to be the pattern here once again with the Ravens quarterback. Meanwhile, moments ago, the Philadelphia Eagles ruled out Jalen Carter and Lane Johnson for Saturday's game in Washington against the Commanders. Both players are out. Those are 2 big losses along both lines of scrimmage, and the Eagles don't play as well when Lane Johnson is not playing. Quinn Ewers is preparing to make his first NFL start Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals after the Dolphins bench Tua Tagovailoa. Ewers is somebody that they want to get a look at. Obviously, they'll need to figure out whether they have to address quarterback in the draft, and he will have a chance here to prove that he's up to the challenge. As for the Bears and Packers, both teams have issued their injury reports, and there are some notable names right now on it. Josh Jacobs listed as questionable. A bunch of the Packers listed as questionables. But meanwhile, we've already seen the Bears rule out Rome Odunze and Luther Burden, which means that it could be a big night on tap for DJ Moore and Colston Loveland, the Bears' targets in that particular game. And we also should point out that the Packers yesterday officially placed Micah Parsons on injury reserve, officially ending his season to the surprise of nobody.
Thank you, Adam. Welcome into the NFL Live Lounge. The NFL's most interesting man this week is Jeff Hafley. If that name seems a bit off the radar, it's understandable. Hafley isn't a player, he's not a head coach, he's not a general manager, he's not an Instagram influencer. Hafley is the second-year defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. And a win over the Bears on Sunday means Green Bay owns the tiebreaker in the NFC North. But with Micah Parsons now out for the season, Hafley's got the undesirable task of winning without arguably the single greatest chess piece in the entire league. And before you say, oh, stop with that, Green Bay had a top 5 defense last year without Parsons, realize this. That defense last year had Kenny Clark. That defense last year had Devontae Wyatt. That defense last year had a healthy Evan Williams and a healthy Lucas Van Ness. The loss of Parsons, though, can't be overstated. Without Parsons on the field, the sack rate for Green Bay drops to 3.7%. That would rank them as the second worst team in the NFL. And now it's on Jeff Hafley to get super creative without him. Besides Rashawn Gary, the guys that he will be relying on, not exactly household names. J.J. Ngbare has less career sacks than Micah Parsons has sacks this season. He will be getting the starting nod on the outside. Then there's Baron Sorrell. There's Brenton Cox. There's Carl Brooks inside. There's Colby Wooden inside. Few kids are getting these players' jerseys under the tree on Christmas. And then there's Jordan Riley, a pickup from the Giants practice squad whose career resume sounds like a Johnny Cash song. See, Riley played college football at Oregon, then went to Nebraska, then UNC, and before that was at Garden City Community College. I've been everywhere, man. But Hafley, he was built for this. You want to talk about a long and winding road? Jeff Hafley's a Jersey guy, and he's gone from being a defensive assistant at schools like Worcester Polytechnic Institute and Albany, eventually earning a head coaching job at Boston College before navigating his way all the way back to the NFL as their defensive coordinator last year. He is one of the hottest, if not the hottest coaching candidates right now, and is already being linked to open gigs in New York and Tennessee. See, he's got a chance to show the world on the biggest stage what his defense can do and what he can get out of some lesser-known players in a big spot on Saturday night. Jeff Hafley's been coaching football for 20 years, and I believe it all sorts of culminates Saturday night at Soldier Field. Let's go.
Half dog.
Let's go.
Hafley, one of the hottest head coaching candidates in this upcoming cycle, as Peter mentioned. One of the hottest last year, maybe the hottest, was Ben Johnson, who's in charge of the Bears offense, and Hafley's going to have to try and stop on Saturday night. How do you expect him to do it?
Thank you.
Peter mentioned it, not having Micah Parsons out there changes things, and now he gets some time to try to prepare and do that, knowing going in that Parsons won't be out there. But you look at this past game against the Denver Broncos, when Micah Parsons goes down, he decides to change things up. At the beginning of that series, he goes to just a 4-man rush, and next thing you know, Bo Nix is back there, and he's baking a cake. So for Hafley, you're looking at your staff, and you're like, we got to.
And a lot of it is those backers. You think that's the easiest answer? Is pressuring with the backers?
I don't think it's the easiest pressure. I think you mix it up. So on this, in the series after, it happened to be the backers. Now you go back, you get in the lab, you start designing things.
Now
I think,
a full week.
Yes, with Hafley, it's going to be a lot of disguise. So on one play, it's going to look like a backer's coming in, a safety's coming, but he's going to have to try to manufacture some of that pressure with off-the-ball players.
Yeah, I'd also say a huge thing in this game is when you go back 2 weeks ago, one of the things that stands out is Green Bay gave up 0 explosive runs. The longest run in that game was 9 yards. One of the reasons why, Williams, 33. Going into the game, we're talking about that backside fill, It's, you would know it better than me, but like you got to have great timing, great patience, and then
he's out too.
So like, how can they keep this dominant run game at bay? Not only without Micah, and I would say this, for the people who told us that Micah's not good against the run, you don't watch tape, because Micah's been great against the run. So, like, not only that, but also having that safety not in the mix as well. I think it's going to be another just big challenge for Hafley.
Big picture stuff. And Graz, I'd like your thoughts, too. We talk about the hot coach and the coaching camp. Like, Saturday night, a lot of Giants fans will be home watching this Packers defense. Saturday night, a lot of Titans fans will be watching, maybe Dolphins, maybe Raiders. We don't know what other jobs might be open. Now it's Jeff Hafley without Micah Parsons. I know it's a team game and it's about the.
No, it's a great opportunity to say.
This is an opportunity. He silences them, and you've got Brady and Burkhardt just oohing and eyeing about Hafley the whole time.
Adversity,
That's what this sort of happens.
A lot of great coaches are great coaches when they got a ton of great players. Hafley's a great coach. Still a bunch of good players in Green Bay. I don't want to minimize those guys. But if he can keep that defense performing in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks for them at least, the way they have, he'll be very much so at the top of the list.
All those eyeballs on a standalone game on a Saturday night, by DraftKings. And for that, we turn to Peter Schrager. So let's start with Matthew Stafford, over under 1.5 passing touchdowns.
I'm going to say over on the passing touchdowns. I'm going to go with that, thinking they're going to have to throw the ball today with that great Seattle front seven. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, I think over. Seattle needs to generate some offense. This is their go-to guy, potential offensive player of the year in the NFL. Let's not forget about him. Over. And then this one I love, Dan. Anytime touchdown. Kanata Mumfield. Kanata Mumfield. This is a 7th-round pick with 2 catches on the year. If Devontae doesn't go, he does a lot of the stuff in the offense that they're hoping he at least can mimic what Devontae does. Take a moonshot. Kanata Mumfield. Hello.
Mumfield ran a season-high 13 routes last week against the Lions, so he might be on the upswing. A $10 bet wins you $130. On DraftKings Sportsbook, new customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code NFL Live when you sign up. Kanata Mumfield and this Rams offense clicking on all cylinders right now, from Matthew Stafford to the run game. Rams runners have been very successful outside the tackles, but the Seahawks defense has been very good at stopping those types of runs. So Dan and J-Mac, what exactly are the Rams doing in that run game that is making it so effective?
All right, so the go-to run for the Rams is a run that we in offensive football call duo. The premise is double teams, and we want to get the ball to the unblocked defender. You see the Buffalo Bills run this. These teams that are really good at running the football, this is kind of the staple that they want to get to. I always laugh at it because I sit there and I say defenses should know that runs like this are coming. And I always sit there and go, defensive backs know.
We do know
that's
it's
the
coming.
run that's trying to get hit. How come you guys consistently can't stop it? So I want to go to the starting point for this run, okay? So let's start at the basics of duo. I mentioned the basics of duo or double team. So what would that look like if you were the Rams? It would mean that you would take this center and guard, and they would double team defensive tackle to backer, and then they would take tackle and tight end, double team defensive end to backer. So here's the problem, 2 ways. One, teams have decided to drop a backside defender in to try to shoot the backside gap, and that pushes these backers over. When those backers push over, the double team is harder. Also, that block would basically be impossible for this winged tight end, okay? So here's what the Rams have started to do. I call it insert and double insert. This guy is going to slow motion down in. He's going to insert into the line of scrimmage to block that guy. And then you'll see that outside tight end motion down. And now he's going to insert to now put a tight end on the backer. The double teams are off. So look at this. Everybody for the Rams is a guy on a guy on a guy on a guy. I mentioned getting the ball to the unblocked defender. There's that unblocked defender.
Ready to go.
So what's the problem with him? How is it always so hard for you guys to stop?
What I love about offensive guys is because they think they're the smartest person in the room, and they're just brilliant. They came up with this amazingly designed offensive play. For the defense, we have now 5 guys on the front. So like Dan said, because we're so much better than them, they have to now motion people to try to get angles because they can't win the one-on-one block. They're going to double team it right here. You talked about this defensive back. This is picture perfect. He is in his gap. This is his gap. He is filling it on the outside shoulder of the guy he was defending who just inserted. Now, for the guys, all 11 guys have to do their job. This is my gap to fill it. This right here, Barnes, the linebacker on the outside. His lone responsibility is what we call setting the edge. When you set the edge, nothing gets where, Dan?
Outside.
Outside of you. Nothing gets outside of you. If he does his job, that now allows the defensive back to be able to do his job.
But isn't that, why would that defensive back go inside? Is this because you're saying
this
it's
is his
coverage?
man-to-man. So he has 87. So now Campbell knows when he's blocked, I have to stay inside out on the guy blocking me because the person defending him, Yasin right here,
right.
He now inserts, and I'm filling that hole. We're gapped out. You saw him? As Barnes is falling, he's like, what are you doing?
If that defensive back stays outside.
Tackle for a loss, and here we go. We get up, and now we get to
I'm
celebrate.
telling you, the Rams are going to run this 20 times tonight. Can Seattle fit it the right way and then tackle it the right way?
I can.
NFL opens. It will come to a close on Monday Night Football when Brock Purdy and the 49ers head to Indianapolis for a matchup with, Phillip Rivers and the Colts. 8 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes, Disney Plus, and the ESPN app. Coverage kicks off with NFL Live at 3 Eastern from Lucas Oil Stadium and continues at 6 with the Monday Night Countdown crew.
Speaking of Monday Night Football, we are now joined by Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, who will be on the call for Colts 49ers. How we doing? Troy, I ask you, Phillip Rivers came out of retirement to lead the Colts down the stretch here. What's your take on the whole situation, and how can Shane Steichen get the most out of a 44-year-old quarterback moving forward?
Well, I found last week to be pretty interesting with Phillip Rivers. Well, first of all, I'm just amazed at his age that he decided to come back and play. And I'm sitting down with him actually on Sunday. I'm looking forward to talking to him mostly about how he has been able to recover this week. Because it's one thing to be able to go out and play at 44 years old. It's another thing to be able to bounce back a week later and then go try to do it all over again. The game plan last week, as we all saw, was about him getting the ball out of his hands quickly and trying to run the football. And it went to perfection up until the very end. Defense unable to make a last stop. But I'm impressed with what he's been able to do, and I'm looking forward to the fact that he'll be playing on Monday night, and we'll be covering it. So I'm excited about it.
Hypothetically speaking, I know you are a body is a temple man. If you played on Sunday, how long do you think it would take to get out of bed the following morning?
Well, hey, I was 34 years old when I retired. It took me a few days back then. That was over 20 years ago. So that's what I'm saying. Even my last couple of years of playing, I would usually be at my sorest around Tuesday, and later in my career, it was more like Thursday or Friday. So not that he got hit a ton, but still, just the simple fact of throwing the football, if you really haven't been throwing or you're not in game condition, and we all know, those of us that once played, the demands physically, and then to be out of football that long and at that age is pretty impressive.
Rivers is up against 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. As you start to really pour into the film, what are you seeing from him in that 49ers offense since he's gotten back on the field?
Well, I think the one thing to remember is they were all together week one, and then with the variety of injuries they've had, George Kittle, of course, Purdy missed time. It was just a few weeks ago that they got everybody back on the field offensively. I know the last time we saw the 49ers against Carolina, Brock had a tough outing. They were able to win that game still, but he had 3 interceptions in that first half. But the last 2 games, I think he's playing his best football right now. And what I've seen without a running game is he's had to create a lot with his legs, and he's done a good job of that. I think he's a real weapon. I think he's a much better athlete probably than he gets credit for. I like his moxie. He's extremely confident. That at times creates a lot of big plays for him, and then at times, sometimes it gets him in trouble. But you want a guy like that at quarterback, especially within this offense. They haven't run the ball nearly as well as they have in years past. It's shocking, quite honestly, because I still think Christian McCaffrey is exceptional. They just have been unable to get that part of it going. And the offense, of course, with the defense that they've had with the injuries, it's really incumbent on them offensively to carry this football team. And the fact that they are where they are right now within that division, still with an opportunity to win the division. I know the big game tonight you guys broke down is going to be huge. But the 49ers have positioned themselves in a really good spot as we go through these last few weeks.
You guys were great on the call on Monday night. Aaron Rodgers was pretty good on the field, too. Thought this sound was interesting. Take a listen to what Aaron Rodgers had to say the day after the game on Monday night.
So it's kind of what I said after the game. There's some cast-offs if you look at our roster, which makes it really special. Kenny Gainwell signed a next-to-nothing contract. Connor Hayward, an afterthought, had a touchdown run. Marquez been on a couple teams. Adam Thielen got cut. Samuel was on the street for a long time. So it says a lot about the character of the guys we brought in.
Do you consider yourself one of those cast-offs too?
No, I'm not a cast-off.
Hit a nerve there. Hey, it's okay for him to call others cast off, but don't call him one.
I loved it. How quick he was. I am not a cast-off. How dare you?
Yeah.
But this chip on his shoulder, it's there, man. Have you seen that in his play the last couple of weeks? These 2 wins after everyone was saying fire Tomlin, let's move on to a new quarterback.
Yeah, a little bit. I think a little bit of that comes with age as a veteran quarterback. I think you're less tolerant of a lot of things, especially as a guy who is a future Hall of Famer who's obviously got a resume you'd stack up against anyone's. I like where this team is right now. Now they're fighting an uphill battle, and we know that. And I think we all tend to kind of get overexcited from one week to the next. Big win against Baltimore a couple weeks ago. Good that they were able to follow that up at home. I think, and I mentioned it after the game, I think it'll be interesting if, in fact, they do win the division and make it into the playoffs. When you consider his experience in the postseason and what that might look like when he goes up against some of these younger quarterbacks, maybe a Bo Nix with Denver or Drake May, New England. And I think the same can be said for Josh Allen when he plays against some of these teams. So the AFC will be interesting. If the Pittsburgh Steelers get in, I'm as curious as anybody to see what that might look like, because just getting to the postseason, as we know, it's not enough for the Steelers and that organization, nor should it be. It's a prideful group. It's a prideful quarterback. And maybe they're starting to peak at the right time. Like the 49ers, I do think the Steelers are beginning to play some of their best football, which is what you hope to be doing this time of year.
No doubt. Troy, we appreciate you joining the show on a Thursday. I will never call you a cast-off, just so you know. That's fine. That's it. That's it.